Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm still ill. Had a sore throat over the past week, which was great. Welcome to Christmas Eve. And today's video is all about Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are two paranormal investigators that captured the nation, and they were in 1952 they were married and founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, and they built a museum called the Paranormalology Research. And then, according to Ed and Warren, they investigated 10,000 cases over the course of their careers, with doctors, nurses, researchers and police at their assistance. And both Warrens claim to be unlikely qualified to investigate strange and unusual phenomena. So Lorraine said that she could only see auras around people ever since she was 8 years old, and she was scared if she told her parents they'd think she was crazy and kept her powers hidden. But when Ed was 16, he knew there was something different about her. Ed himself said he grew up in a haunted house with self-taught demonologists as a result, so Lorraine and Ed Warren pooled their talents together and set out to investigate the paranormal. What they found is enough to keep you up all night. The first case that they investigated was Annabelle the doll. Now, if you guys have heard of Annabelle the doll, the backstory of Annabelle was she was owned by a 28-year-old nursing student that had that doll presented to her at her 28th birthday. Her mum gave it to her as a present, and ever since then the doll would move everywhere around the house, and it would write like little notes saying "help us, help me." But they believe that the girl that inside was called Annabelle Higgins, who was like the girl who was the girl that was attached, and apparently she was the girl that died on the land of the property where the house where this 28-year-old nursing student lived was, where this young girl apparently was found. And but they say that this young girl called Annabelle Higgins is not actually a girl. They believe to be a demonic entity. Now, with Ed and Lorraine Warren being the world's most famous demonologists, they're very good at this sort of thing. So they go day to day, learning about different cases. And as I said, one of their early cases is Annabelle. The first one was Annabelle. So the reason why they took Annabelle away, and this happened in 1968, and they apparently took the girl away because the young lad that her boyfriend was like patronising the doll and said, "Oh, you're just a doll, Annabelle." And then when he felt pain in his chest, and then when he went home, this was at the museum when he said that, which it was two couples. The man got into their like little motorbike, drove away, and then as soon as they went home, he was laughing and everything. Then they crashed into a tree, and he died, but the girlfriend survived. And that's how Annabelle controls people. She can immediately feel stuff, and it eventually killed the 28-year-old young girl who owned the doll, because they made it feel loved. And then it killed all three of them, and then when Ed and Lorraine Warren came in, they done an exorcism on the doll, but the demon didn't want to leave the doll, so it was like they said that they could keep it in the doll, and then they left, and put it in the back of their car on the way to the museum. And they said that was the most terrifying night. And the people at the museum have to wear like Pacific hand gloves to make sure they're protective, and it's like doused in holy water with Pacific oils and everything. And Annabelle's put in a glass case so no one can touch her, in a priest box, with it being, advertised by the church and everything. And they apparently, because they're the most famous demonologists, everything in their in their museum is haunted. So the second case that they have done, remember, it's 10,000 cases that they've covered. This is the Perron family. So if you guys remember the Perron family from the Conjuring series, this is who I'm on about. This is the story that inspired the Conjuring series. Now, the Conjuring series started in 1971, and apparently Caroline Perron, who was the mother at the time, had an exorcism. And they made sure that all their daughters, Andrea Perron, were all, all the daughters were, April, who was the youngest, were kept away. April, Cindy, and Andrea Perron were all kept away so they didn't see what their mother was going on. And this is in Harrisville, Rhode Island, where the Conjuring house is based. And then obviously, the story of the Conjuring, Bathsheba Sherman and all of those. And apparently, Ed and Lorraine Warren came over, and the mum had an exorcism back on Halloween night. This is where, the story of, the exorcism happened, and then she levitated, span around, and she got thrown into another room. And she hit the floor so violently, and she was like covered in bruises, and she was like covered in everything. But the basically history of the house before, it was called the Old Arnold Estate, which is apparently the house where Abigail Arnold, who was the owner before this, lived with her son Henry Richardson, and obviously her husband John Arnold. And they were the family that lived in before the parents came in. And if you haven't seen The Conjuring of Sam Colby, I'll link that in the bottom below as well. But Ed thought, the husband thought, she passed away. And then Ed punched him in the face and said, "No, don't touch her," because because they're the most demonologist in the history of, everything. And, Roger Perron, the dad, didn't want anything to do, so they chucked the Warrens out. And apparently in 1980, the haunting stopped. The next one is Amityville Horror House, which is very famous for its hauntings. Which is one of the locations where Sam and Colby want to go, because Colby's fascinated with it. In 1974, 23-year-old Ronald Dutch murdered his entire family. If you are into the paranormal, you know about this case. 3.35 caliber rifle, the infamous case, became the catalyst of the claim that spirits haunted, the mansion and the house. And then the next case was the Enfield haunting, which happened in the Enfield in London, or was that the Poltergeist? And that basically said the same thing. That was like owned by like an old person that used to, and it contorted like all the young girls there was 2 girls that got haunted by the poltergeist haunting, and but when they called the police, you know, the police wasn't very, you know, they thought it was a joke and everything, and said like the girls are just taking the mick, but actually they weren't. So that casebook was the next one, and then, you know, it was you know, the famous hauntings, and then obviously the academic research for, you know, the paranormal and all of that is where it most happened as well. So the Donovan family was the 6th, Enfield poltergeist 7th, and then 8th was Sanika's house, and 9 was Annabelle. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. Please like, share, comment and subscribe if you like the paranormal. And as I said before in the intro, I hope you all have a lovely Christmas and a happy new year. Let me know in the comment section what you're gonna get for Christmas, and I'll see you guys in 2025. Got one more video after this, and I hope you enjoy it. Like, share, comment and subscribe. Peace.